Hey, it's Jeff with some big news. We've recently launched a new podcast. It's called Essential English Expressions. Season 1 is out now, and each episode is all about how to use one essential English expression. If you like plain English, you'll love our new podcast, Essential English Expressions. Click the link in the show notes for more information. Today, you and I are going to learn together about the Dalai Lama, the leader of Tibetan Buddhism. Hi there, everyone. It's Jeff, and this is Plain English, the best podcast to help you upgrade your English if you like stories about current events and trending topics. When you listen to Plain English, you'll learn about the world, but you'll also absorb lots of words in your new language. And that's the beauty of plain English. You have fun with the stories, but you also learn a lot. Today, we are both going to be learning a lot. Last week, we did an episode about how a new pope is chosen. And so I decided to make a few episodes this month about religion. And I got to thinking, Catholicism has the Pope. Do other religions have international leaders like this? And the answer is no. I thought the answer was yes. I thought the Dalai Lama was the leader of Buddhists around the world. He's not. And that's part of what you and I are going to learn together in today's story. This is episode number 774. Every episode comes with a lot of great learning exercises and resources on the website, and it's easy to find. This is episode 774, so the link is plainenglish.com/774. If you can't remember that, don't worry. Just look at the link in the show notes of this episode. Before we start today's episode, I wanted to give you the exciting news, the return of the expressions. If you've been in our world for a while, you know that I used to teach English expressions in this podcast. I took a short break, but now the expressions are back. We're doing them a little differently than before. Now, we're giving each English expression its own episode, and we're putting them all together in a special podcast called Essential English Expressions. Season 1 of Essential English Expressions is already available. It has 14 episodes, and in each episode, I show you exactly how to use an English expression, and I give you lots of examples. Just search Essential English Expressions in your podcast player or click the link in the show notes. Now, back to today's Plain English episode. You probably know that the Pope is both the administrative and spiritual head of the Catholic Church. But that level of centralized leadership is rare. Catholicism is the only major religion with a single global spiritual leader. Some smaller religious groups have recognized figureheads. For example, the Archbishop of Canterbury leads the Anglican Communion, which includes the Church of England. But the other major world religions, Islam, Hinduism, Protestant Christianity, Buddhism, these are not led by a single individual. Instead, they are made up of various traditions, schools, or denominations, each with their own leadership structures. But wait a minute, you might be asking, what about the Dalai Lama? Buddhism has three primary schools. Theravada is practiced mainly in Southeast Asian countries such as Thailand, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Laos, and Cambodia. Mahayana is the most common in East Asia, including China, Japan, South Korea, and Vietnam. Vajrayana, or Tibetan Buddhism, is practiced primarily in Tibet, Mongolia, Nepal, and northern India, areas where Tibetan culture is strong. The Dalai Lama, the name can be roughly translated as Ocean of Wisdom. The Dalai Lama is the leader of just one of these schools, Tibetan Buddhism. The other schools don't have a single figurehead. There are about 500 million Buddhists worldwide, but only about 18 to 20 million of them practice Tibetan Buddhism. So why is the Dalai Lama so famous if he leads only a fraction of the world's Buddhists? To answer that question, we need a geography lesson and a history lesson. Tibet is a region in Central Asia, north of the Himalayan mountains. It has some of the most striking and extreme geography in the world. It's the highest and largest plateau on the planet, at about 4,500 meters above sea level, higher than many mountain ranges. There, you can find snow-covered peaks, glaciers, alpine lakes, and wide open plains. Tibet is part of China today. If you picture a map, it's in the southwest part of China, just north of Nepal and bordering India. That's the geography lesson. The history lesson goes like this. Since about the 1400s, Buddhists living in Tibet followed a spiritual leader called the Dalai Lama. In the mid-1600s, the Dalai Lama took on both spiritual and political duties. Tibet was ruled as a Buddhist theocracy, with the Dalai Lama as both the spiritual leader and the head of state. The Buddhist theocracy lasted until 1951, when China took control of the region by force. The Chinese government, then as now, placed strict controls on religious practices, limited the activities of Buddhist monasteries, and did not allow open recognition of the Dalai Lama's authority. At the time of the takeover, many Tibetan Buddhists refused to live under Chinese rule. They would have had to give up much of their culture and religion. So they fled to live in exile in neighboring countries like India. The Dalai Lama was among those who left. He was just 23 years old at the time. So let's return to our question. Why is the Dalai Lama so famous if he only represents a small fraction of the world's Buddhists? It's because he represents the Tibetan Buddhist cause. He's a symbol of the Tibetan people's struggle for religious freedom. He has spent decades promoting peace, compassion, and nonviolence, values that transcend religion. He won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1989 and has met with world leaders, spoken at universities, and written best-selling books. For many people, especially outside Asia, the Dalai Lama is the most recognizable Buddhist figure in the world. He will turn 90 years old in July 2025. He was enthroned in February of 1940 when he was just 4 years old. In other words, he has been recognized as the spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism for 85 years. For many of those years, he traveled internationally and maintained a high public profile. But recently, he has stopped traveling outside northern India, where he has lived since 1960. Who will assume the mantle when he dies? Unlike Catholics, Tibetan Buddhists do not get a new leader immediately. Tibetan Buddhists believe that a Dalai Lama chooses to be reborn in the body of a new child to continue his spiritual work. The child is already alive when the older leader is dying. After the Dalai Lama dies, then, the spirit is alive in a new body. The job for the living is to figure out who the child is. Soon after a Dalai Lama dies, senior Buddhist monks begin the process of looking for the child who is the next incarnation. And this can take several years. In that time, the monks look for signs and visions. When they find a potential child, they give him tests to see if he can remember things from his past life. When the monks agree that they have found the child who is the reincarnation, the child is officially recognized as the Dalai Lama, usually around age 2 or 3. He begins years of training in Buddhist teaching and philosophy and is given full political and spiritual authority as he matures. The next transition will be the most difficult one yet. For the first time in 600 years, the Dalai Lama will die in exile. He will die outside of Tibet, the centuries-old spiritual and cultural home of Tibetan Buddhists. And China has made no secret that it wants a role in naming the next Dalai Lama, the better to help it further bring Tibetan Buddhism under government control. The current Dalai Lama is considering his options. He says he might name the next Dalai Lama while he is still alive. This is called an emanation, like a pre-reincarnation. He said he might choose a boy, a girl, or an adult. He may also opt not to reincarnate at all. A few more points for you. The first Dalai Lama was born in the year 1391. The first two were not given the title during their lifetimes. The first person to be given the title Dalai Lama, Ocean of Wisdom, was the third. The first two were given the specific title after their deaths. So this is a 600-year religious tradition. The current Dalai Lama is the 14th. Anyone under the age of 85 today would not have lived in a world with any other Dalai Lama. I knew nothing about any of this. I knew the Dalai Lama was a Buddhist leader. I knew it had to do with Tibet. I thought the Dalai Lama was the leader of all Buddhists in the world. But as we learned together, that is not right. So I learned a lot. I hope you did too. That's what this is all about, right? You learn about new words in English, but we both get to learn about what's going on in the world. Now, by the way, if you were listening closely, you might have heard the word figure out. That's one of the essential English expressions in our new podcast. If you want to hear a full lesson about how to use figure out, check out the link in the show notes. This was episode number 774, so you can find the full episode at plainenglish.com/774. That, you'll remember, is where you can find the transcript, translations, exercises, and discussion area. plainenglish.com/774. We'll be back on Thursday. We're going north of the border on Thursday to talk about what's been going on in Canada. See you then. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you like listening to stories in plain English, then you'll love learning English expressions with us. We have a brand new podcast called Essential English Expressions, and this one is seasonal. So we'll drop an entire season of expressions all at once. The first season is already available, ready for you to start listening. That's 14 special plain English episodes all together in a brand new podcast. Just search Essential English Expressions in your podcast player or click the link in the show notes.